Thunder have taken the NBA by storm. For the first time, the NBA champion resides in Oklahoma City. The storybook season is complete.
Last year, for the first time in franchise history, the Oklahoma City Thunder ended their season as NBA champions. Their success last year could be attributed to a lot of things like the star power of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, OKC's depth, the roster's chemistry, and more. But I think the defining factor of this Thunder team that helped them capture the first NBA championship in franchise history absolutely has to be their defense. In a league full of teams consistently setting and breaking offensive efficiency records before the ink is even dry on the year before, the Thunder are a throwback that hangs their hats on the defensive end. And they didn't just have a good defense or a great defense in recent memory. We're talking about a team that should go down on the short list of the greatest NBA defenses in NBA history and the best modern defense that we've ever seen. And this isn't just a biased eye test for me. For as analytically savvy as the NBA has become today, this Thunder defense jumps off the page and just screams through the numbers, stats, and metrics that this defense was absolutely insane. Speaking of which, let's dive into some of those crazy defensive numbers OKC had last year, before I get into how their personnel separates them from the rest of the league, and how the Thunder played the percentages to perfection on defense on their way to winning a championship last season. Here are some of the stats and metrics that the Thunder led the NBA during last year's regular season. Starting with defensive rating, team defensive efficiency, opponent field goal percentage, forced opponent turnovers, total deflections, deflections per game, total charges drawn per game, total loose balls recovered per game, lowest number of opponent shot attempts allowed per game, lowest opponent field goal percentage allowed, lowest opponent three-point percentage allowed, and finally OKC registered 10.2 steals per 100 possessions, which is the highest rate in the last 12 years. And OKC didn't stop setting the bar in the playoffs, as they also led the NBA in these stats during the postseason, such as defensive rating, and even more impressively, OKC led last year's playoffs in total steals at 247, which is the most by a team in the playoffs since steals became an officially tracked stat in 1973, which also means they had more steals during their championship run last season than any team has had in a single postseason in NBA history. Is that enough statistical evidence of how special this 2024-2025 Thunder defense was for you? I'm sure that some of you are asking, but how are the Thunder doing this? How are they leading the NBA or near the top of the NBA in all of these advanced defensive metrics? The answer? It's a combination of things, but let's start with the unique elite level of defensive personnel across their roster. The greed in which Oklahoma City has been hoarding all world level defenders in the past year is at the level that they warned us about in the Bible. No team has had or really should have this much crazy defensive talent that they can shuffle through on any given night. Because of the depth and versatility of their defensive talent, they can be extremely malleable, shape-shifting, contorting, and conforming their lineups to match up exactly to their opponents. If Oklahoma City's opponents roll out an incredible Hulk equivalent lineup, the Thunder will deploy a 5-man group that is basically the Hulkbuster version of that lineup to counter them. You hear the phrase playing defense on a string, but for the Thunder, it's more of a structured chaos with all 5 players sort of operating with a hive mind, knowing exactly when and where to move without a ton of communication or time to think needed. And going into next season, it doesn't seem like the defensive hype train from OKC is slowing down anytime soon, with the entire Thunder starting 5 currently having betting odds under FanDuel's sportsbook for Defensive Player of the Year. The Thunder had a league-leading 4 players who received votes for the NBA's all-defensive team, and it probably would have been even more if injuries along with the NBA's 65 games played rule didn't disqualify guys like Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Alex Caruso from voting consideration. Speaking of individual defenders, let's go through some of the Thunder's best defenders and what makes them special. Coming off of his long-awaited and well-deserved first-ever NBA all-defensive team selection, Dort is one of the last true lockdown defenders in basketball. Built like a human fire hydrant, OKC deploys Dort on the other team's best player pretty much on a nightly basis outside of a few centers. He's a scoring deterrent incarnate, super physical and concerningly quick at his size, strong as an ox, extremely smart, and more than likely going to frustrate the crap out of whoever he's matched up with. Dort is the tip of the spear for the Thunder's defense as their #1 point of attack defender. He sets the tone and bolsters OKC's identity as both being disrupting and chaotic while also causing the defense to get the ball rolling downhill. Alex Caruso brought a much needed element of championship pedigree and experience to a Thunder team that the year prior was the youngest 1 seed in NBA history and the youngest team ever to win a playoff series in NBA history. He's a defensive mastermind on top of being a human Swiss Army knife on that end as well. I've said it before, but tell me how many other players there are right now that can guard Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Anthony Davis, Julius Randle, Tyrese Halliburton, and Pascal Siakam all comfortably and effectively. Because that is exactly what we saw from AC as a rare defensive spark plug off the bench for OKC, who also doubled as a vital closer that you could trust to help you win big games in the clutch. Cason Wallace is the understudy for Dort and Caruso, but don't get it twisted. Caso has all the potential in the world to be just as good as those guys are better. Drawing comparisons from his teammates to the likes of Jrue Holiday, Cason Wallace is the most naturally gifted defender on the Thunder's roster in terms of raw defensive instincts on the perimeter. He's a total pest defensively who's somewhat immune to getting abused by bigger players on switches, and has an element of athleticism that rivals and probably outclasses what Caruso was at the beginning of his career. If Alex Caruso is a defensive Swiss Army knife, then Jalen Williams might just be a defensive shapeshifter or transformer. He can play the 1 through 5 on offense as well as guarding 1 through 5 on defense. Standing at 6'6", along with his enormous 7'2" wingspan, combined with the muscle he has added since his rookie season, J-Dub is the perfect versatile defender capable of easily scaling up or down to guard whoever the Thunder need him to. He can guard on the ball or off of it, constantly blowing up passing lanes and helping out as a secondary rim protector next to OKC's more traditional big men. And coming off of his first ever all-defensive team, Dub still has even more room to grow on the defensive end to become even harder for opposing teams to deal with. Between winning Finals MVP, regular season MVP, and leading the NBA in scoring last year, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander still makes time to not only play defense, but also bring a positive impact. In a league full of one-way playing superstars, Shai is a throwback, making his presence felt on both ends. He is the weakest link of the Thunder's top-flight defenders, but that isn't an insult when you compare him to who he's playing with. He's not a lockdown defender, but his height and wingspan make him pretty switchable, and in the past few seasons he's become one of the best stock players in the league. Chet Holmgren is a shot-blocking savant, and overall one of the best top-to-bottom defenders in the league today. He's a guy who, if he plays 65 plus games, you should be able to easily pencil into a Defensive Player of the Year finalist voting ballot. We might live in a modern three-point heavy era of the NBA, but protecting the rim will always be king and the top priority of any great defense. Chet's height and wingspan are obvious major helpers to allow him to be one of the best shot blockers and defenders in the league, but just as important as those are his instincts, feel, fundamentals, discipline, processing speed, basketball IQ, and mobility. His slim frame does limit him a tiny bit, but outside of that, if you were to try to build the perfect switchable defender custom made for the NBA today, it would probably come out looking a lot like Chet Holmgren. Similar to Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein also helped fit a specific role for the Thunder's defense that hurt OKC 2 seasons prior, and that was lacking a reliable backup rim protector to play when Chet was off the floor, as well as an option as a big body traditional low post big defender. Almost nobody is the versatile defensive freak that Chet Holmgren is, but Isaiah Hartenstein has some range to his game as well. You'd rather not switch him onto a super quick guard, but he is good to hold down the fort for a few possessions a game and is an extremely high level and smart defender, filling up the gaps around him and rotating wherever his team needs him. Beyond those first 7 defensive monsters that headline the show for OKC's defense, the Thunder also have a high level supporting cast that helps fill in the gaps around them. The cold hard truth was that if you couldn't defend last year, you probably weren't getting on the floor for the Thunder. During OKC's playoff run, guys like J. Will played a major role defensively in the Nuggets series, guarding the likes of Nikola Jokic for large stretches. Isaiah Joe played above average defense and wasn't able to be hunted like most shooters are. Aaron Wiggins took a leap on the defensive end too, and Kenrich Williams will always be a dog who hustles, plays tough, and makes guys earn their points on him. All of these guys, plus more for OKC, have helped build and maintain OKC's identity as a dominant defensive team, being disruptive, playing on a string, and overall just putting opposing defenses in a vice grip. But between hearing all of those stats and the spark notes on the Thunder's defensive personnel, I think it's time for my favorite part, and that is to see how it plays out in the tape and how the Thunder play the percentages to perfection on defense. A major part of the Thunder's defensive philosophy is helping off of poor shooters to crowd the paint and passing lanes so drivers have to see more bodies to deter them from the rim. And when OKC does this, they're betting on a couple of things. Number one is that even if someone is open, that doesn't mean it's going to be an easy pass over to them or one that most players are capable of. Number two is a bet that the guy that they're funneling isn't willing to pass the ball up even if there is an open man. And third is a bet that they're funneling shots to the right guys from 3. Because to put it simply, there are certain guys who, when they get the ball beyond the arc and are looking to shoot, the only thing the Thunder have to say is,
"We do not care."
Like on this possession where we see Julius Randle drive into multiple defenders with a couple of open teammates around him. Behind him at the top of the arc, he has Naz Reid as an option, but OKC is perfectly comfortable letting him fire away, shooting only 22% from 3 in the series. And down in the corner is Terrence Shannon Jr., a rookie with only 31 attempts from 3 all season, which is less than what Steph Curry will get up in a week. Randle ultimately kicks it out to Terrence Shannon Jr., but that's no problem for the Thunder at all as they quickly close out to him and the defense is set once again. On this possession, you see Russell Westbrook driving multiple bodies for the Thunder, and they help off of 3 separate shooters between Peyton Watson, who's a 33% shooter from 3, Julian Strawther, who shot 45% from 3 versus the Thunder in the playoffs, but out of his 5 makes, 3 came in 1 game, so the rest of the series he was 2 for 7, which is good for 28%, and finally Jalen Pickett might be a pretty solid three-point shooter, but given the options around him, the Thunder are also pretty happy to funnel extra shots to him, at least to test out how comfortable he is as a second-year player taking shots in huge playoff moments like this. Ultimately, Westbrook gets overwhelmed by all the traffic there and turns the ball over, which plays right into the Thunder's hands. In this possession, Ben Mathurin gets Chet off the dribble and drives to the rim, but the Thunder are making the bet and helping off of TJ McConnell, not only because he shot 30% from 3 this year in the regular season, but also they don't think that Ben Mathurin is likely to try to make this pass or able to do it. Here you can see the Thunder throw the entire kitchen sink at Nikola Jokic, putting around 5 different guys in the paint or just around him, and around him on the perimeter you have Jamal Murray shooting only 30% in the series, Peyton Watson, who I already mentioned, who shot 33% from 3 versus the Thunder in that series, and finally Christian Brown was another guy that the Thunder were comfortable conceding shots to, and it worked out as he shot under 30% from deep in the series. Jokic ends up not going with any of the shooting options around him on the perimeter and forces up a tough shot, and it's off the rim, and the Thunder are once again going in transition. In this one, you basically see the Thunder play a 3-man front for Jamal Murray on defense here. Russell Westbrook's in the corner, but Isaiah Joe and the Thunder are not too worried about him as a kick-out possibility. And on the other side, Alex Caruso plays one pass away from Julian Strawther. Ultimately, none of those passes look good enough or are open enough, so Jamal Murray takes a shot, and once again, it's off the rim. Late shot clock situation here for Jamal Murray. Isaiah Hartenstein is walling off Nikola Jokic over by around half court, so he's not an option. So the only options he has are force up a tough jumper, hit Russell Westbrook in the corner, or Christian Brown over from the wing 3. Ultimately, he takes a jump shot and it rims out, and the Thunder are off and running again. The Minnesota Timberwolves seemingly had the toughest time with this in terms of not having a lot of great playmakers or guys who are willing to make the pass like Julius Randle. As you can see here, he has multiple guys around him who are wide open, and once again he ends up forcing a shot up rather than just kicking it out. This time it's Anthony Edwards for the Wolves, putting his head down with 3 different teammates open around the perimeter. He tries to go up for a shot only for it to get poked out by Alex Caruso. And finally is my favorite play of the bunch, which is Julius Randle getting an entry pass. He tries to quickly post up Aaron Wiggins, but takes too long and gets a shot blocked by Chet Holmgren. But in the background you can see 3 different Wolves holding their hands up in the air waiting for a pass that, let me just tell you right now, you're never going to get that pass. But what do you think about the Thunder playing the percentages on defense? Can they do it again next year? Is this the best modern NBA defense that you've ever seen? And how do you think OKC can get even better? Let me know down in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed what you saw today, make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to my channel so I can keep making fun Thunder content like this for all of you, and hit that notifications bell so you never miss out on any of my future uploads. And as always, till next time, thanks for watching.